Baby man, little baby man, little baby man, baby man.
This is a website. Never miss another hurdle burgle. While you submit your car here, right here. Submit, how do I get on OCR? Submit, you click this button, there's a form, fill out. The bag is also a hat.
The bag's not a hat.
Thank you for a website.
When are you gonna review the new Ford Maverick? Fine. Here's a 72 Ford Courier. The oil crisis strikes again. Like General Motors with the Chevette, Ford went all Sisu and took credit in a group project in which all they did was write the cover page. The Ford Courier is a Mazda B1800, designed in Japan, built in the UK, and sold to Americans. It's a fine pickup for the Japanese and our Atlantic cousins. But with only 74 horsepower at 5,000 RPM and 92 pound-feet of torque at 3,500 RPM, and all of that's put through a skinny fat 3-speed auto groaner, this little lugger is unsafe on USA highways. 73 Ford Courier. I hope you like using your four-ways on hills. You're gonna.
Oh, I'm sorry, big trucks. I'm a small truck. Please don't hurt me. I'm just a little Mazda boy. Ooh. Can I service your
Macrophilic testicles?
Ford Courier, the kobold of trucks. But it's so innocent looking, truck tank characters don't perceive a courier as a threat. So I got thumbs up and Chad nods everywhere I went. Oh, hello, little buddy, little truck. You drink your Jocko Mulk and you'll be big and strong like me someday. I don't know, man. Owning a house isn't gonna make me come any farther than I already do. It feels like I'm getting a ride to Midgar in this truck. It's got a bumper ball hitch, Lord knows what Ford thought it could tow, but it's there. 'Cause there's slow car fast, but then there is slow car crawl. Alright, we are good. So, full power. This is full power. There is 15 miles an hour. There's 20 miles an hour. What, is it gonna shift?
It will.
There it goes. Oh, there it dropped down again. Oh. Okay. Alright, so I guess we're in third now. Alright. Yep. Oh, there's second again. Does this thing have a hazard?
Yeah, up top. No, sorry.
There we go.
Watch her up the hill, she's good though.
Okay. Sorry, everybody. Sorry. The Mazda BNA 6.1 engine is happy to rev, like any Japanese overhead cam, but here in Pennsylvania, I feel like I'm walking on the BNA 6.1's generous offer. The auto box is partly to blame. The 5-speed would have been better. Ford Courier. Small enough to fit in Christian's gardening trailer. Christian's favorite thing to do is to take the Courier and cruise up and down Ocean City, New Jersey, never exceeding 30 miles an hour. There are more comfortable cars to cruise in, but you don't see many Couriers, so okay. It's different. Because Couriers weren't marketed as aspirational or even something you want to keep. Look, we know things suck right now, so here at Ford, we want to give you something that sucks for less. History time. This was created as a sedan delivery vehicle, or a panel van, and its first run lasted from 1952 to 1960. It was revived in 1972 as a compact pickup truck that was essentially a Mazda B-Series, as Ford had entered into a partnership with Mazda the year prior to import their B-Series pickup trucks to try and cut into the popularity of similar options from Toyota or Nissan, who'd already beaten Ford to the punch with the U.S. compact pickup truck market in 1959 with the 220 chassis. Ford wanted to make the B-Series their own, so they gave it an F-Series grille because, see, this is an American truck, looks just like a Ford F-100. Brr, 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 brr. No, it doesn't have 4 headlights like a Mazda. This has 2 headlights. It could only be a Ford. See, P. Urination. Now, these trucks were imported as cab chassis in that kind of configuration to get around the 25% chicken tax on light trucks, which was signed into law at the President Suck My Johnson in 1964 in response to France and West Germany placing tariffs on American chickens. It's a weird domino effect that leads to tariff engineering, where companies were forced to get around the new tax by changing the build of their vehicles. And Ford was at the forefront by taking their intentionally manufactured trucks and fitting them out like passenger vehicles to pass customs in the United States. They did this with vehicles like the first-gen Transit Connect, which was built in Turkey, chicken. There's a joke there, but screw it, we got more to talk about here. The tariff on chickens is one of the weirdest domino effects since the invention of air conditioning leading to Reaganomics. Because the chicken tax seemed targeted to keep Asian companies out of the American pickup truck market, which resulted in the lack of light truck competition, American companies like, all of them, Chrysler, Ford, GM, they kept their margins high on their truck offerings because they had no incentive to focus on fuel economy. But that left them unprepared for the sudden popularity of smaller import offerings with better gas mileage. And that led to those foreign automakers scoring in the United States and gaining a long-term foothold. The Courier has an 8-gallon fuel tank and respectable gas mileage of 30 miles per gallon. Only now are trucks getting back to that number. What's it like to drive? Well, it's like a Nissan POW, only slower. It's like everywhere you go, people think you're a student driver. But because you're small and unthreatening, no one really has a problem with you. The engine roars when you're at redline, but you're barely going 50. Maybe 60 is like the end of the world for this little thing. I'm guessing Christian has a vacuum leak somewhere because the engine does. If you don't pull the choke closed or open, depending on what you want to call it, if you don't pull the choke like 20%, the engine always stalls. So, all right, I'm enriching the fuel, which means there's either not enough fuel or there's too much air getting in here. And plus, Christian's truck is special. It's one of the few with the optional 3-speed automatic. Most of these had 4-speed manuals. I think before I said a 5-speed would have been greater. Well, yeah, a 5-speed would have been fantastic. I don't have much power to work with here. The more gears, the more better. But this truck is feeling every bit of its 197,942 miles. This truck was used because that's how Couriers were sold. Small pickup trucks you were supposed to completely use up like chewing gum and then just whenever they're done, just leave them where they lay. Ford said this has a load capacity of 1,400 pounds. I have no idea how, since this is barely getting up to presidential fitness test speeds with just 2 regular-sized humans in it. Add nearly a ton to its weight, and you'd probably get passed by a hover-round. And there were people who drove this truck just regularly in the 70s. Then again, there's a purity to the Ford Courier. It's not big, it's not fast, it's not heavy duty. It's the antithesis of the modern American truck because it doesn't secretly want to be a crossover. It's not trying to be racy. It's not even trying to be manly for whatever that means. It's not the choice of anyone who likes having options. It was not for the type of person who's never been off-roading in their life, but wants to be able to wake up one morning and act on trail mix impulses. It's so cheap, do whatever you want with it. And people did, so you don't see Couriers anymore. It's kind of like how those little Ford Rangers were everywhere in the 90s. Now they're nowhere. Of course, there's nothing inherently wrong with new technology in trucks and those electric step tailgates and those automatic, rocker. What are they? Those geriatric, I can't quite get into my truck, so here's a tiny ladder in the form of the little rocker rail thing. For some, trucks fitted with all the bells and whistles of the modernist lifestyle can be the end-all to the truck's versatility. Whereas a minimalist truck like this could represent the untouched majesty of the uncomplicated, the field-leveling influence of the unspectacular. I mean, it's like saying a bunch when like a Honda K truck is faster than this thing, but it is. Ford Courier. Sometimes loneliness matures a disregard for the privacy of others, and so you drive your truck to parts of town where upturned thumbs will greet you like campaign lawn signs. Quick talks with strangers at the pump become long conversations about life, climaxing at the understanding that not every man is distant or unknowable. If you can find community in the things you drive, then great. And there's a certain notability to the idea of the American truck, which is maybe a modern evolution of the idea of American exceptionalism, or maybe even simpler like the dream. But this is an alternate dream here, because it's not American, but it tried to pass itself off as something like that. Because trucks are our thing, but can it be our thing forever? I don't know. Because when this thing came along, it challenged the idea of what an American truck is. The industry is already changing, but to what extent the USDM market is moving away from big trucks and back to smaller trucks remains to be seen, outside of the Ford Maverick, which no one has offered yet. Does anybody have one? Is Ford going to offer us one? I promise we'll be nice. I won't talk about my penis too much. I won't tell you about the time my parents got me a tiny little flashlight one year for my birthday, and the first thing I did was run into the bathroom, pull my foreskin really tight, and shine the light through it, and like, it's red now. Maybe we're entering a time of lasting change, or maybe just change is what happens when you break a 20. You take the exchange and distribute it across other pursuits that may work out, or might not, but you try. And when it comes to trucks, whether big or small, I feel like American automakers are always going to try. They'll try something new, because they have to. They have to adapt, because we have to keep the idea of the American truck alive, for better or worse, because trucks are our thing.
Okay, I know you haven't heard from me in a week, but I finally found Betty in the parking lot, and somebody outfitted it with some sort of quantum tech, and now I'm back in January 1964. So I'm going to try to stop Johnson from signing the chicken tax into law. But in case I don't make it back, could you make sure that I turned off my stove? I mean, I trust you, so the key is under the placemat. Just give it a look. I don't want my things burned down. And wish me luck. I'm going to try to correct this timeline and leave us a better world in the future.